Let me start with a question. Have you ever thought of life as a movie, a grand film where each of us act both as an actor and a director, given just one chance to perform our role? There are no rehearsals, no second takes, and the camera is always rolling. We play many roles during this single lifetime as students, teachers, leaders, innovators, dreamers. But every act we perform leaves a mark on the story of humanity. But somewhere along the way, we start believing that our role is too small to matter. We say, I'm just one person. What difference can I make? And that right there is the greatest lie we tell ourselves. Hello, everyone. I'm Shahab Sharifi. I'm 24 years of age, and I've played numerous roles throughout my lifetime till now. Some of you may know me as an engineer, some may recognize me through my research works, a few might know me as a lecturer at Kabul University, and some of you may know me based on the volunteer works I've been doing for the last 6 years in youth capacity building, organizing events, or through my humanitarian efforts. And some of you may still have no idea of who I am. Now you might be wondering, why is this guy giving a TEDx talk? Or what possibly he could share on this prestigious stage? To be honest, I didn't know it myself, nor for at least 3 months before the event. I researched, I watched TED Talks like most of you would do. I consulted friends, hoping to know what could be an idea worth spreading on this global platform. I had several ideas in mind, but one day I sit back with myself to recall the previous memories I had. Something caught my attention. I've been a volunteer for more than a quarter of my life now. Now, volunteering is a job with no paycheck. You put your time, you put your effort, you put your energy, and in return, what do you get? On the best case, you gain experience and build a strong network. But on the other hand, it comes with real challenges. Paying expenses out of your own pocket, exhausting your energy, and facing constant criticism from people who usually say, why are you wasting your time? Or what's the point of these small actions? And at some point, you ask yourself, what am I doing? Is it really worth it? Do these small actions even matter? I asked myself the same questions when I first started my journey as a volunteer with Isaac Afghanistan back in 2019. We paid for transportation, paid for a meal, and basically we paid for anything to complete the assignment. And in return, we received nothing materially. But if you have ever been a volunteer, you know what the truth is. Those countless hours, those small efforts, those invisible contributions are in fact tiny pieces that shapes a greater reality. We worked for a shared vision, for a future we hope to build. From the outside, it may look like a waste of time. But if you pay attention closer, science tells us otherwise. In 1961, Edward Lorenz, a meteorologist, was running weather simulations when he noticed that changing a number as small as 0.00127 completely altered the forecast. That discovery is known as the butterfly effect. The idea that a butterfly flapping its wing in Brazil could set off a storm in Texas. The truth is, the world is not moved by giants, but by a series of small movements connected invisibly. Humanity itself acts as a giant machine, a network of billions of tiny moving parts. Every one of us acts as a valve, a screw, or a spark plug in this great engine of civilization. To be honest, the greatest leap in humanity history wasn't fire or even electricity, it was rotation. When humanity discovered how to circulate parts around a single axis, when we learned how to roll a tire, how to rotate a shaft, how to start an engine, we gain the power to move, to drive, and to fly. But even in this great machine, if the tiniest nozzle breaks, the tire deflates and the whole car stops to move. This is life. This is society. Even a small act of negligence could break the system, and a small act of courage can keep it alive. Let me tell you a story. When I was a first year student back in Kabul University in 2019, I had an idea that felt almost impossible. I was watching TED Talks of how great and groundbreaking ideas were being delivered by people who lived their lives to create a change. Being inside a community of Afghan thinkers, dreamers, and talented and motivated youth, I knew we do have ideas inside the heart and mind of people around me that, if heard, could bring remarkable changes. So I decided to organize a TEDx event in Afghanistan. At that time, people around me said it was too difficult. It was a mountain with no peak. But a voice inside of him whispered, if not now, when? If not me, then who? I applied for the license anyway, even though I wasn't expecting to be accepted based on the statistics of people that have applied before me. Weeks passed, silence. But one day, an email arrived. Congratulations, your license has been approved. And that single message changed my entire vision. That if you want something to happen, don't wait for someone else to make it happen. Roll your sleeves yourself. In no time, we gathered more than 30 individuals, young Afghans who shared a vision that ideas has the potential to change and shape the destiny of our country. At the time where other initiatives were closing down, we created a stage where voices of hope, innovation, and compassion could be heard. We connected with more than 50 organizations worldwide, amplifying the stories of Afghan thinkers, dreamers, and innovators throughout the global community. During those difficult times and uncertain years, I was offered several chances to leave the country and evacuate to somewhere safer. But fortunately, I refused because I realized something profound. Our part only functions when it's in the right system. And my system was right here. This is where I belonged and where my small role mattered the most. My journey and experience from renewable energy taught me the same lesson. In research, we often look for gap in literature. But discovery of gap alone is not enough. You have to fill the gap. That's the same with life. We have seen the gaps in our world. Injustice, inequality, apathy. But pointing out those gaps is only half of the work. The real change begins when we decide to fill those gaps ourselves. And science has proved that collective change is possible. If 25% of population or people adopt a new belief or behavior consistently, studies at the University of Pennsylvania shows that social norms begin to shape and shift irreversibly. That means even if 1/4 of humanity commit to live consciously, compassionately, and courageously, the rest would follow. And we have seen this before. One girl, Greta Thunberg, sitting alone at a carpet in front of Parliament, created the global movement of millions demanding climate action. One woman's refusal to stand, Rosa Parks, sparked civil rights movement. One engineer sharing free codes, Linus Torvalds, created the foundation of open systems that powers the modern internet. The pattern is clear. Every great transformation in history began not with systems, but with souls, awakened individuals who simply believed that their small role mattered. Humanity today faces its darkest hours: wars, polarizations, ecological collapse, moral fatigue. But I believe we can create a new kind of world, one rooted in shared vision. Imagine this: if 90% of people simply refuse to harm another human being under any circumstance, if 60% held each other within their limits, and if just 20% went beyond their limits to bring positive change, the world will turn into heaven. That is simple mathematics of morality. And it starts with just 1%, you. Rumi says, you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the entire ocean in a drop. And that's what the butterfly effect truly means. Each gesture, each thought, each act of compassion reverberates through the collective soul of humanity. The world today is filled with divisions, political, social, economic. But if we truly saw ourselves as components of one great living machine, we would realize something very important. If a part hurts another, it hurts itself. And if a part heals another, the whole system strengthens. So maybe peace isn't built in conferences or by governments. Maybe it begins with one person performing their role with love. Rumi again says, Tumago hama ba jangand, was صلح من چه آید؟ تو یکی نیی، هزاری، تو چراغ خود برافروز. The future isn't waiting for us somewhere beyond the horizon. It's being written by every action we take, every word we speak, and every act of compassion we choose right now. So if you're a student, learn as if the world depends on it. If you're a teacher, teach as each of your students is a universe waiting to expand. If you're a leader, lead as if truth is your only currency. And if you're a dreamer, dream responsibly, because your dream might just rewrite the whole history. The butterfly doesn't know its wings creates a store. The engineer doesn't know that his codes will connect billions. The teacher doesn't know that her lessons will save a life. But every action matters. Every role counts. And every one of us is a creator. So the future isn't built in parliaments or in laboratories. It's built in daily decisions of ordinary people. When enough individuals are awakened to their power, collective consciousness emerges, and from it, a new civilization is born. So I call upon you, when you leave this room, to ask yourself these three questions. What role do I play in this great movie of life? What system am I keeping alive through my actions? And with the credit rules, what legacy will my sin leave behind? Every great movements began with a single motion. Every great revolution begins with a single realization. Every great future begins with a single choice. So be the change you want to see in the world. Be the spark in this great engine. Be the butterfly whose wings creates storms of goodness ahead. Because at the end, the future we make is simply the choices we make today. And that's what, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.